Hi everyone, it's me again, checking in. Things are slowly starting to get back to normal, I guess. I still feel like I'm busy all the time, but I feel like I'm starting to get more time during the day to actually do things for myself and do goal things. I was trying to get out for a run this morning, but I got hit with this crazy weather. It was like super windy this morning and wasn't feeling it. So I will be doing gym time later on in the afternoon or evening. I did last night and I'm going to get at it again today. And hopefully I have a good result on the scale. So today I'm going to be talking about 1,000-pound best friends. Oh my gosh, don't even ask me what number it is, because after all this craziness and busyness, I am totally behind on that. But it's towards the end. It's the episode where they all get together and go on their trip. I think it's getting towards the end of the season as well, so we'll see. But it starts off continuing from the last episode where Scott went to the doctor with his mom. Again, this is the second time to see if he finally did reach his goal and reach his goal of losing 30 pounds. And he does bring his mom, although, last time there was that blow up, right? So he was kind of nervous about it, but he wanted to bring her because he wanted to, just in case if he did reach his goal, he wanted to have her there, someone to celebrate with. And, at the end of the day, it is his mom, and I'm sure they have a very good relationship, besides the toxic food part of it. So I could see why, even though last time there was a big blow up, you gotta celebrate the good and bad times, right? Well, not celebrate, but you know what I mean. So, anyway, so he does get on the scale. He's super nervous about it, which I would be too. I'm always nervous. Every single week I weigh in and I'm nervous. No matter what, even if it's a good week, even if I know it's a good week, I'm still nervous. I still think something went wrong. I didn't move the scale at all. I stayed the same. I gained. All these things go through my mind every single time. So I can imagine how freaked out he is. He's on camera. He knows people are going to be watching this. The doctor's watching. Everyone's watching. That's just, I'd be shaking. But yeah, so does weigh in. He actually surpassed his goal. He lost a total of 40 pounds instead of 30 pounds. So good on him. And that first month was difficult for him and it held him back, but he definitely is getting on track and doing what he needs to do, right? So that's great. I was happy for him. The doctor did go ahead and approve him, which he did react. He had a big emotional reaction. He was crying a little bit. And I could see why, it's a great moment. It's something he was waiting for, and it just probably was shocking too. His mom celebrated with him. The doctor said they're going to set the date. It's all good to go. So I'm just so happy for him. I really like Scott. He has his, not mental, sorry. He just has some issues with his emotions. But doesn't everyone at the end of the day? I mean, someone like Tammy or Vanessa, they do kind of get out of control easily. But Vanessa's kind of maturing too. Like later in this episode, there's a part where it's like she's pretty mature. But then again, later on, there's a glow up as well. So I'll talk about that when I get to it. But they do all get together to go on this trip. For this episode, it's mainly all about the trip. Megan and Ashley have a phone call. They talk about how they're worried about this trip and they're worried that there might be clashes because they've had clashes in the past and they have flashbacks to those clashes, mainly with Vanessa. There are clashes, unfortunately. And so they have this conversation about it and they're hoping everything goes well. But, it's a reality show. And, when you have all these strong personalities together, there's always going to be conflict, right? But they go on this trip. Scott picks everyone up in this I guess it's a van. I'm not sure. They all get in, and he immediately tells them there's rules, no backseat driving, because they're kind of like making fun of his driving because he hits like a pothole or something, and they're like terrified for their life. He's immediately like putting these rules on them. And the girls are not having it. They're like, we're the wrong people. You're going to be giving rules to, okay? There's 4 of us, and we're all strong women, and this is not how this trip is going to go. There's no rules on this trip, basically. So, okay, he should have been prepared for that. But they do get to, it's this nice house. They said Scott planned all of this and set it up. I don't know if he worked with TLC or what, or if he did arrange all of this, but I'm sure TLC had to put their input because, they're going to have cameras rolling and they need a certain type of, I guess, home they rent where they are allowed to film and stuff like that. So, I don't know, but it's a really nice place. It's super cozy looking and fancy and nice, and Scott immediately jumps out of the car and runs, and he's like, I call the master bedroom. Because he wants the king bed, the big bed, and he runs in, and they're like, I've never seen him run that fast before. It was great. He runs in, he claims the room. It is a big bed. I guess he's just worried because at his size, he even says himself that he's the biggest, and he needs a big bed that he knows is going to be able to support him, right? And the other girls are just like, oh, okay, we see why now. But in that moment, Vanessa, they notice Vanessa for the first time because she's been in the back seat of the car. But they notice her progress, her results from her skin surgery. So her legs are more visible now because they removed Betsy May, that big fold of skin that was just hanging over her legs and practically hiding her thighs, and they see her arms. They're like, dang, you're skinny, what happened? Her stomach, everything. She's actually wearing an outfit that you can see the progress, and they're just marveling over it. And Scott's immediately like, well, how much do you weigh? And yeah, that is kind of a rude question to ask, to be honest. Even if you've lost weight and you're skinny, still a rude question to ask, in my opinion. But the other girls want to know too. They're like, yeah, how much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? And she confirms she's now 188 or 186, around there, which she's definitely lost. I guess the swelling has come down a bit. I knew there was some swelling involved. She was at 195 before, and now she's down again. So congrats to Vanessa. She's so motivating to me and inspiring, and I'm loving it for her. Megan is happy for her. Everyone's happy for her. And it's just a nice, wholesome moment. They all end up on the bed, too, eventually. They're all laying on the bed, and Scott farts. Of course he does. And they're like, oh my gosh. And, I guess they weigh the bed or something, and he says all of them combined are 1,000-something pounds, 1,129 pounds or something, which they're getting close to being under 1,000 pounds, right? I don't know. It was cute. It was cute. The fart thing. I'm not into fart jokes. I know 1,000-Pound Sisters, they love the fart jokes. They're funny in a way, but they're just not my thing. Thinking about it, it's just gross to me. But it does make you laugh, right? Because it's gross. But yeah, the trip starts off good. They all get their rooms. They're all happy, cozy, but then of course it can't stay peaceful for long. Later on, they decide to make dinner at home in the house they're renting, and it's like they're making something healthy, and Scott's worried, of course, because he hasn't told them yet, and he has to have diet restrictions. And so they're planning this healthy meal of turkey meatballs and some kind of pasta with tomato sauce, which pasta is not usually healthy at all. Even the ones that claim they're healthy. I remember I was trying to get a healthy pasta for me, just to eat. And I was like, oh, vegetable pasta, that sounds great. This weird spinach pasta. And the noodles were green. And I'm like, Well, that's good then. I can eat pasta. This is awesome. But I looked at the back of the box. I looked at the nutrition. My goodness, they were worse than normal spaghetti noodles. There were higher carbs. They were higher calorie. There was more protein. That was good. But I was just in shock. There was more like salt and sugars in it. How? How? And I'm sure there were more vitamins. So in that way, they're better for you. But how are they worse than the normal ones? Like that made me genuinely angry just because I was so excited to have found something that I could actually eat, right? With my diet that was like a carb substitute, but it wasn't. So I'm on the hunt for a carb substitute. Hopefully I could find something good. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'm off track. They're at the house. Scott finally decides to tell them that he has been approved for surgery, and they're all really happy for him. And they're kind of shocked because he kind of waited till the last minute to tell them, but they're all happy for him. It's great. He hit his 40 pounds. They're celebrating, they're joyful, and immediately, I'm pretty sure it was Vanessa, or someone's immediately like, so you're starting a liquid diet then, right? Oh boy. And everything's fine after that. He does say, yeah, he's doing the liquid diet, but he can have one meal, and he's ready to have this healthy meal they're making. He's starving because he's been on this liquid diet all day. So they start to cook, but then this weird side of Scott just starts to show up, and it kind of showed up earlier when they were in the car with the rules thing. He kind of is like monitoring everything they do, and I guess in his mind he's giving input, but it comes off as being really bossy and controlling behavior. So he is like watching them cook and just giving pointers on how to do it, like don't make it too dry. And he sees Megan with this measuring cup, and he's like, oh, I hope you rinse that out before you use it again. And she's like, obviously I'm gonna rinse it out. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, but aren't we all guilty of reusing a measuring cup? Maybe I'm the only one, but if it's something that's not like chicken or bacteria or something, it's just like a quick powder or quick measuring of something, they reuse it again, right? But yeah, true, you should rinse it out most of the time. And she does go to rinse it out, but she's just irked, and Ashley's getting irritated, and they're all kind of noticing that he's just watching them, and they're like, no, you know what, we can handle this. Ashley's like, I'm 39 years old, I know what I'm doing, I've cooked for years. Terrible. It just kind of all is bubbling up into this mess. And meanwhile, Tina's kind of getting irritated with him too, because when he had announced that he was getting the surgery, he was approved, she was like, oh, so you're on the liquid diet, and I guess you're suffering now, like I was on the liquid diet. And he's like, no, the first couple days were hard, but now it's like easy. And so that irritated Tina, because she's like, it's not easy. Why would you say that? You're just making stuff up. What? And she's really jealous of that. But she's calling out a lie, basically. I don't want him to suffer, but I know it's hard. I've been through it. I want to share the pain with another person, right? You don't want you're like going through all this, and then you hear your friend it's just easy for them. It's hard. It's tough, right? So all this is just boiling. It's just all bubbling up to a boiling point, right? They all sit down for dinner. They start eating it, and they're not a fan at all. They're not a fan. I guess I've had turkey meatballs before. They're a bit dry, definitely, and you can tell they're low calorie. They don't use a lot of oil in it. You don't put butter and stuff in it, right? But it's dry, and I've had it before, so I can see that it's flavorless. That maybe they put a little salt, or you could add salt. You can add seasonings. They added seasoning, but I'm thinking they didn't put much salt to keep it healthier. So you gotta kind of if you're not going to use salt, you gotta put a lot of different things to make it flavorful. They were talking about making this tomato sauce for the noodles. Maybe they should have added that to the meatballs as well, right? I don't know. I didn't see exactly how they made it, so I don't know for sure how they could have improved it or what happened really, or maybe they baked it too long and it got dried out. I don't know. But they didn't like it. That's the thing. And Tina mentions that it's awful and she's only had a couple bites and she does not want any more. She's had enough. And Scott, for some reason, gets offended by this. And he says, I'm going to be polite and I'm going to eat because, it's good and we worked hard on it and he actually likes it. Yeah, it's polite to do that, but he's got to remember that Tina she just had this surgery. Her stomach is very small still. She can't eat that much. 2, they all have food issues and food addictions, and it's a very good habit to get into, to only eat, what you like and only eat small amounts, and if you don't like it, what is the point of eating more of it, right? If you take a couple bites of something and you absolutely don't like it, why force it down your throat, right? Why eat it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So I'm just so confused why he's kind of policing Tina on this. And maybe it's that they say it's controlling behavior. I think he's just trying to be helpful or, I don't know, giving his opinion on things. And that can go south pretty quick, which it does go south pretty quick. Tina gets very upset by this. And she's like, she manages to keep her cool though. She's like, she basically what I said, she's like, I don't like it. I don't need to eat it. And he's like, well, I'm going to be polite and eat it. And it just turns into this big blow up. Scott has exhibited this weird tantrum behavior before. And at the doctor's office when he weighed in. And this does happen again in this moment. Kind of blows up and starts yelling. And I don't even know why they're yelling anymore. They're just yelling about this meal that they cooked. And everyone else is just trying to cool them off. They're like, it's okay, Scott, calm down. Everyone, calm down, it's fine. But no, they're just yelling at each other back and forth over this meal that he doesn't want to eat. I see Scott's point of view. I see that, he doesn't want to offend everyone that worked so hard on it. That is a good trait to have, to be empathetic to other people's feelings. But he's not really being empathetic to Tina's feelings, and he's not really seeing her side. He's just, I guess, assuming. He's assuming that she's being rude and she's just being maybe snobby. He thinks she's being snobby about it and it's not good enough. I don't know. It's just a weird thing to fight about. This is the only thing I can see when I try to see his point of view. But they do mention that he's probably just hangry. Not hungry, but hangry, Hangry. And it's true, when you're really hungry and you're on a diet and stuff, I've seen this with myself, you do get irritated easier. Your emotions come out more because part of food addiction, a big part, is the emotional side of it. These people don't get this big from hunger. It's emotion hunger, not just normal hunger. It's like an emotional hunger. You're getting sad or angry or upset. You grab a cookie or something and it's like distraction. Just like I was talking about, there was one Vlogmas video I did on migraines. And I was talking about how I will eat, even though I'm nauseous, migraine, and I shouldn't eat. I'm in pain. I want a distraction from that pain, and having like a snack or something, it's like a distraction. Put on a nice video to watch or read a vlog read a blog or an article or something. It's just a good, nice distraction, a way to relax. But this is where the dangerous part comes, is you get addicted to this food and it becomes a permanent habit where you don't need those calories. You do not need them. So in this moment, Scott was hangry, and Tina was definitely a bit hangry too. And maybe she was genuinely angry because she was very hungry and this meal was just not it, and she didn't want to eat it. So the tempers flared. They both kind of lost their control. But Scott does come back in to apologize. He cools off a little bit and he does come back in and tries to fix the situation, which I think is a very mature thing to do. in like Thousand Pound Sisters, Tammy, when she has these blow-ups, she doesn't really try to resolve them. She kind of hides from the world and lets it get worse and worse. And I saw that with Amanda, where Amanda even came and tried to resolve things with her, but she outright refused, basically. So I think it was very mature of him to come back and do this, even though, he has these like tantrums, these temper tantrum things, or just emotional episodes, a nicer way to say it. Even though he has those moments, he does come back and apologize, which I thought was great. They do resolve the tension. They have this banana ice cream afterward, and it is good. They like it. So I'm thinking I gotta try this. The way they're eating it sounds good, and it's supposedly made from bananas. It's like called the no scream ice cream, so you don't scream when you eat it because you got the weigh-in and you scream from the weigh-in after eating, something like that. I thought that was a cute little way to call it. But they have that, and it's good. The night ends. Whew, what a blow up already. And then the rest of the episode, it's their trip. They go sledding. I guess you'd call it sledding. It's not quite sledding. You're on like this inflatable donut balloon thing is what I guess you would call it. And you go to the top of this icy, snowy mountain thing with like little trails etched in. Like, I'll put a picture. I'm not doing a good job of describing it, but yeah, it's like this downhill slope, and pretty much they go on it. There's like this conveyor belt at the side they have to go up. And Vanessa mentions that she's terrified because she doesn't like heights. I don't know why you would decide to go book this thing if you're afraid of heights, but it's a way to get out of your comfort zone, which you do need to do. And Vanessa deserves it after all this time, all this weight she's lost. She compares it to the water slides in the first season, I believe it was. They went to this pool with water slides, and the lifeguard told her she could not go down them because of her weight. The weight limit was, I believe, 350, and she was well over that. Well, now she's well below that. I am genuinely hoping that they take them back to that same place and she's able to go on the water slides. That would be awesome. I would love to see that, but I don't know if they will. Instead, they do this in this episode. They're on these slopes, and she's wants to do it because she's comparing it to this, and she wants to conquer this fear and do this slope, and it's just a nice NSV moment for her and a victory for her. And meanwhile, Megan's terrified because she's going on this conveyor belt going up the mountain, and Scott's in front of her, and she mentions she hopes he doesn't fall because they'll all die. Oh no. Oh, that was great. But they all manage to get to the top. Everything's good. And there's no drama or anything. They just all have fun with it. They all go down the mountain. It looks super fun. Like, me watching them, I want to do this someday. It just looks really fun. It's scary, I'm sure, but it's pretty safe overall. The only thing dangerous was at the bottom. We're kind of resting there for a moment. And then Megan comes down and almost, like, barely an inch, maybe a couple inches, let's say, she almost hits Tina, and the speed Megan was going at, that would have been extremely painful, I think. So they were lucky in that case, but it was a very warm, heartfelt moment. I enjoyed that. And then the last part of the episode, they all decide to go to dinner. I guess the place they're staying at, they had recommended this place as one of the best places to go. And they get there and it looks really nice. It's fancy. But when the waitress comes out, it's a manager, I guess. She lets them know that this is a family style type of restaurant. And it's very casual and laid back, actually. And they were just talking about how they were going to plan out something healthy that they can eat. Scott's got to be careful and all this stuff. But then when they're like, well, what kind of food do you serve? And they're like, well, it's family style. There's no portion sizes, really. It's just all family kind of buffet style. Like when you sit around the table and the mom sets out all the plates like for Thanksgiving and you just kind of scoop it on your plate kind of style. It's that kind of style. So that's hard to measure portions already. But not only the portion problem, there's also the problem of the type of food they get. There's not really anything healthy. They got maybe the collard greens, but barely. They probably use butter and stuff. Who knows how it's made? They got, like, fried chicken, big no-no. They got these ribs, like barbecue ribs with high-calorie sauce. They've got, all that bad stuff. And right away, things are tense. They're like, we don't know what we're going to do. What are we, if it were me, I would have been like, I'm sorry, we got to go. Let's go somewhere else, please. I wouldn't demand it, but I'd be like, what do you guys think? Do you think we should eat here or should we go somewhere else? What do you think? Should we try this? I would try to solve the problem in that moment, but they are like, we'll just stay here, I guess, and eat. They're all battling food addiction, and they decide to be in this place that's similar to a buffet where you could easily overeat. And, Vanessa and Ashley are like, well, we're allowed to eat. And that doesn't make sense to me. Okay, Vanessa, maybe she's at her goal weight, but Tina mentions this. They still are patients. They still have had the surgery. They still should follow portion control and not stretch out their stomach and not put bad things in it, which is bad for their mentality. But maybe Ashley's not to her goal weight. So I don't know why they're saying Ashley. I guess she wanted to enjoy her vacation and stuff. But I don't know. That was just weird to me. Very weird. And they're like eating whatever they want. And I'm just like, that's a red flag right there. And they're not considering the others who do need to eat at a deficit. It was just so odd. And this is obviously causing even more tension. Scott is freaking out. He doesn't know what he's going to do. And Megan, the good friend she is, giving suggestions. She's like, well, what we could do, maybe you could just take the skin off the fried chicken. So when Scott goes to get the fried chicken, Vanessa freaks out. And she's like, no, you cannot have fried chicken. But, she's eating fried chicken in front of him. So, well, I don't know. I didn't see her plate, but I imagine she might be. But then Scott's like, well, I'm going to take the skin off. And she's like, who would tell you that? Who would say that taking skin off the chicken makes it healthy? And he's like, well, and then Megan's like, it was me. And so then this whole tension thing, I was giving Vanessa the benefit of the doubt. Because earlier with that other big blow up with Scott and Tina, Vanessa stays out of it. She stays calm. She handles the situation. I thought, that was really mature of her. But then in this scene, she kind of just pokes the bear, is the saying, right? First to Scott, she's really pushing on him. They're in this situation, right, where they have to eat this. They're not going anywhere else. This is the meal. And then she's kind of just pushing Scott to his limit, and she's like, you can't have that, you can't have that, you can't have that. And she's like, well, you could have the ribs, I guess. They're baked. And he's like, there's this high-calorie sauce. I can't have that. It's like, maybe you could scrape it off, but it's still going to be there. It's the same thing with the fried chicken. If you take the skin off the fried chicken, there's still going to be oil and butter and stuff, right? But it's the same with the ribs. You scrape off the sauce, it's still going to have oil and butter and stuff. So what is the problem with him having a piece of chicken, right? I think he can have one piece. It's not the end of the world. Just take as much grease off as possible. Take the skin off. Try to wipe the grease with a napkin. And that's going to help it's going to get rid of as many calories as you can in this one-time thing. But it's, it just keeps getting worse because Megan gets involved and they start fighting about it. And Megan's like, he can have the chicken, whatever. And they're all fighting. And then it just gets to a whole nother level. Megan's talking about, well, I've lost more weight than you. And Vanessa's like, yeah, sure, all right. They just fight about it. And Megan's like, let's get the scale out. And it's like, why is this turning into such a petty bickering session? Oh my gosh, it's like this back and forth. And it's like they're in high school or something. And they're just insulting each other at this point. And Vanessa's like, I know how to push her buttons. And she made me mad, so I'm going to push her buttons back. And it's like, this is petty. Everyone has their petty moments, but this is just too much. It's too much. But that's how the episode ends, and it's like, leaves on this dramatic note, and I'm just like, no, I want them all to get along. I want them to have the best trip. I want everything to go well, But, it is what it is. It's a reality show, but I love the motivating moments so much. So I hope there's more of those coming in the next episode. And this is getting over 30 minutes, so I'm going to conclude it here because I've got stuff to do. Lots of stuff. Healthy stuff. I'm thinking what to make for dinner tonight and lunch, and I want to keep it in calories, and I'm thinking about tea. I love tea. I'm making it a habit now to just have tea whenever I get the smidgen of hunger that I feel isn't normal hunger or a meal is not near. I'm just reaching for tea. So hopefully it adds up on the scale, right? So I hope you're all having a good day, good week. I hope you're staying motivated any way you can, staying positive. And if not, take it easy, take care of yourself, give yourself a little love, and take a nice relaxing walk. Afterwards, take a nice relaxing shower, read something motivating, cook a nice healthy meal. I know it's hard if you're a mom or a dad like me with a lot of kids that need your attention, or you work really hard and you have a very strenuous job. You know, I hear you. So just do what you can for yourself. Be motivated. I'm trying. I'm doing not trying, I'm doing. So happy goal getting, happy motivating. Have a great day.